My parents rehearsed "We Miss You" on my porch. My Ring camera caught everything. I never thought a small black camera on my porch would change my life. That Ring camera was supposed to be for safety, packages, strangers, random noises at night. I never imagined it would expose the people who raised me. It was a quiet Tuesday evening. Rain had just stopped, leaving the street shiny and empty. I was inside, folding laundry, half listening to the TV when my phone buzzed. Motion detected at your front door. I sighed. Probably another delivery truck or a neighbor's cat. I opened the app, and then my hands started shaking. There they were, my parents, standing on my porch, together, smiling, laughing, rehearsing. My mother fixed her hair and said, "No, say it again, but softer, like you really miss her." My father cleared his throat, placed his hand on his chest and said slowly, "Sweetheart, we miss you so much." They both laughed. My mother shook her head. "No, that sounds fake. Try again." Fake. That word hit me harder than anything else. Because 3 years ago, these same people told me, "Don't come home, you're embarrassing us." 3 years ago, my father said I was dead to him. 3 years ago, my mother cried on the phone, but still chose silence over me. And now, they were on my porch, practicing how to miss me. I wasn't always the daughter they didn't want. Once I was their pride, straight A student, quiet, obedient, always smiling in family photos. Until I wasn't. I fell in love with someone they didn't approve of. Not because he was bad, not because he hurt me, but because he didn't fit their picture. Different background, different dreams, different life. They gave me an ultimatum. Choose us, or choose him. I chose myself. That was my crime. The night I packed my bags, my mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed. My father didn't even look at me. "You walk out that door," he said coldly, "don't bother coming back." I waited. I waited for my mom to stop me, to hug me, to say, "We'll figure this out." She didn't. So I left. Life didn't magically become easy. I struggled. I cried alone in small apartments. I worked double shifts. I learned how to survive without family. The relationship didn't last, but I did. And slowly, painfully, I built a life. A quiet life. A peaceful life. I bought a small house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. And one of the first things I installed? A Ring camera. Because I trusted no one anymore. I watched the live feed, unable to breathe. My mother stepped closer to the door. "Okay, final time," she said, smiling sweetly. "When she opens the door, we say it together." Together. My father nodded. "Right, emotional, loving, like we've been worried sick." I felt sick. My phone slipped from my hand and landed on the couch. They weren't here because they missed me. They were here because they needed something. I knew that the same way you know when a storm is coming before the rain falls. Ding dong! The sound echoed through the house. I stood frozen in the hallway. My heart screamed, "Don't open it." But another part of me, the little girl who once ran into their arms, walked to the door. I opened it. My mother gasped dramatically. "Oh, sweetheart," she cried, arms wide open. "We've missed you so much." My father's face softened instantly. "We've been worried so much about you." They played their roles perfectly. If I hadn't seen the video, I might have believed them. I smiled, a slow, careful smile, and said nothing. My mother pulled back and frowned. "Aren't you going to hug us?" I stepped aside. "Come in," I said calmly. They exchanged relieved looks and walked inside, confident their performance had worked. They didn't know it yet. They didn't know I had everything recorded. Every laugh, every rehearsal, every lie. And as they sat on my couch, smiling proudly at the life I built without them, I opened my phone, paused the Ring video, and waited for the right moment to press play. They sat on my couch like they belonged there. My mother crossed her legs neatly, smoothing her coat like this was a planned visit. My father looked around the room, nodding with approval. "You've done well for yourself," he said. There was pride in his voice, but also something else. Calculation. "Thank you," I replied quietly. I sat across from them, my phone resting in my palm. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I wasn't ready yet. Not yet. My mother leaned forward, eyes glossy. "We've been thinking about you so much," she said, "every day." I nodded. Silence stretched between us. Too quiet. My father cleared his throat. "We know things ended badly. Ended badly. As if 3 years of silence were just a misunderstanding. As parents," my mother added softly, "we make mistakes." I watched her lips carefully. She didn't say sorry. I decided to test them. "Why now?" I asked. They froze for half a second. Too quick to notice, unless you were watching closely. My father spoke first. "We were just driving by." A lie. They lived 2 hours away. My mother jumped in, and we thought maybe it was time to heal. Heal. Another beautiful word with no meaning behind it. I nodded again, pretending to accept it, but my chest felt tight, because real healing doesn't start with rehearsed lines. My mother's eyes drifted to the framed photos on my shelf. Pictures of me, traveling, smiling, living, without them. Her smile stiffened. "You never told us you bought a house." "You never asked," I replied. My father frowned. "You could have called." I met his eyes for the first time. "I did." He looked away. That silence said more than any apology ever could. I stood up. "Would you like some tea?" My mother smiled brightly. "Oh yes, just like old times." Old times, when I used to pour tea while swallowing my feelings. In the kitchen, my hands shook as I filled the kettle. I stared at the counter, remembering nights I cried quietly in my childhood bedroom because feelings weren't welcome in our house. I took a deep breath. Then I heard my mother's voice from the living room. "She looks thinner," she whispered. My father replied, low but clear, "She's doing fine. Look at this place." Then came the sentence that broke something inside me. "She doesn't need to know everything," my mother said. I stopped breathing. I walked back into the living room, tea tray in my hands. I placed it on the table slowly, sat down, smiled. "You're right," I said calmly. "I don't need to know everything." They relaxed. That's when I lifted my phone. "And you don't either." I pressed play. My mother's voice filled the room. No, say it again, but softer, like you really miss her." Her face drained of color. My father's rehearsed voice echoed next. "Sweetheart, we miss you so much." My father stood up suddenly. "Turn that off." I didn't. Their laughter played next. Their smiles, their practice, the truth. My mother's hands trembled. "You were spying on us?" I laughed softly. "No," I said. "You rang my doorbell." My father's voice hardened. "That camera shouldn't record conversations. It records my porch, where you rehearsed lying to me." Silence crashed down like broken glass. My mother's eyes filled with tears, but they didn't reach her voice. "We didn't mean it like that," she said quickly. "We were just nervous." "Nervous about what?" I asked. My father sat back down slowly. "About asking for help." There it was, the truth finally slipping out. My chest tightened. "So, what kind of help?" I asked, even though I already knew. My mother swallowed hard. "Your father lost his job." My father looked at the floor. "And the house," my mother added quietly. "We're behind on payments."
I nodded slowly. Of course. So, I said, my voice steady, you didn't come because you missed me. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled it back. You came because you needed something. She started crying then, real tears this time. We're still your parents, she whispered. I stood up, and I was still your daughter when you chose silence. My father looked up at me. So, will you help us? 3 years ago, I would have said yes without thinking. Now, I walked to the front door, opened it, and said quietly, before I answer that, I need you to answer one question. They looked at me confused. I met their eyes. If you didn't need money, would you be here?
The room went completely still. No crying, no excuses, no rehearsed lines, just silence. My mother looked at my father. My father looked at the floor. That was the answer. I waited. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Finally, my mother whispered, "That's not fair." I nodded slowly. Neither was being erased from your lives. My father rubbed his face, suddenly looking older than I remembered. "We didn't know how to talk to you," he said. "You made choices we couldn't accept." I let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh. "So instead, you chose nothing?" I asked. "No calls, no visits, no birthdays?" My mother's voice broke. "We thought you'd come back." That sentence hit harder than any insult. "You thought I'd crawl back," I said quietly. "Apologize for choosing my own life." She didn't deny it. I walked to the window, staring out at the street. "You know," I said, "I learned very early that love in this family came with conditions." They stayed silent. "When I was 10, I won the school art contest." My mother smiled weakly. "I remember that." "No," I said. "You remember telling me to stop drawing and focus on math." Her face fell. "I stood there with my painting," I said, "waiting for you to be proud." I turned back to them. "You never hung it on the fridge." My father swallowed. That memory wasn't about art. It was about being unseen. "You didn't lose me because of who I loved," I said. "You lost me because you never really listened." My mother shook her head desperately. "We loved you the only way we knew how." "That wasn't love," I replied gently. "That was control." My father stood up again. "We're not perfect," he said sharply, "but family helps family." There it was, the old rule. I walked over to my phone and turned the screen toward them. "I saved the video," I said calmly, "and I can't unsee it." My mother gasped. "You practiced loving me," I said, "like it was a performance." She covered her mouth. I took a deep breath. "I will help you," I said. They both relaxed instantly. "But not the way you think." Their smiles faded. "I'll help you find resources, programs, financial counseling, temporary support." My father's face hardened. "So you won't give us money?" I shook my head. "No." My mother cried harder. "We raised you." "And I raised myself," I said softly, "when you walked away." "I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself." I walked to the door again and opened it. "You can stay for tea," I added, "but you can't stay in my life pretending nothing happened." They stood slowly. My mother looked at me like she was finally seeing me. "I don't know how to fix this," she whispered. I met her eyes. "That's the first honest thing you've said all night." They stepped onto the porch. No hugs, no speeches, just heavy air. Before leaving, my father turned back. "You really won't help us?" he asked one last time. I thought for a moment, then said, "I already did," and closed the door. I sat on the floor, back against the door. I didn't cry, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood. Some parents don't miss you. They miss the version of you they could control. And that camera?
It didn't just catch them rehearsing. It caught me waking up.
3 days passed. No calls, no messages, no apologies. I told myself that was fine. I went back to work, watered my plants, cooked dinner for one. Life moved on. But late Friday night, my phone buzzed. Mom. Just her name on the screen made my stomach tighten. I stared at it for a long time before opening the message. We didn't sleep last night. Your father and I have been talking. We didn't realize how much we hurt you. I closed my eyes. Not sorry, just realization. Another message followed. Can we talk again, please? I didn't reply. Saturday morning, my doorbell rang. I froze. I checked the Ring app. My mother stood alone on the porch. No rehearsing this time. No smiling. Just her, holding a folded piece of paper. I considered not answering, but something in her posture stopped me. I opened the door slightly. Yes? I asked. She looked up, surprised. I didn't think you'd answer, she said. I almost didn't. I wrote this, she said, holding out the paper. I didn't trust myself to speak. I took it. Didn't invite her in. She waited quietly while I unfolded it. Her handwriting was shaky. I don't know how to be the mother you needed. I only know how to be the one I was taught to be. I thought letting go would make you come back. I was wrong. My throat tightened. The letter continued. I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope you believe that I miss you. Not the money, not the help, just you. I looked up at her. Her eyes were red, real red. If you really miss me, I said slowly, then you need to respect something. She nodded quickly. Anything. No more surprise visits, I said. No guilt, no pressure. Her swallowed. And no asking for money, I added. Her face fell, but she nodded. I understand. That was new. I handed the letter back. Thank you for writing this, I said. She looked hopeful. But this doesn't erase the past, I continued. It just opens a door a little. She nodded again, tears slipping down. I'll wait, she whispered. I locked the door and leaned against it. This time, I cried. Not because everything was fixed, but because for the first time, someone was trying without a script. Later that night, I checked the Ring footage. She stood on the porch for a moment after leaving, looked at the door, wiped her face, and walked away. No performance, no audience, just a woman learning too late. I realized something important that day. Healing doesn't always come with apologies and hugs. Sometimes it comes quietly, with boundaries, with honesty, with distance. And sometimes it starts with a letter instead of a lie. I thought the letter was the hardest part. I was wrong. A week passed after my mother's visit. No messages, no calls. I started to relax again. My guard lowered just enough for hope to sneak in. That's when he showed up. The Ring notification came in the afternoon. I didn't rush to check it this time. But when I did, my breath caught. My father stood on the porch. Alone. No smile, no practiced warmth, just his hands shoved into his coat pockets, shoulders tense. This wasn't part of any plan. I opened the door, but stayed inside the frame. What do you want? I asked, straight to the point. He nodded once. I needed to see you, he said. Just me. He didn't ask to come in. That surprised me. We stood there, the door between us like a line neither of us knew how to cross. I watched the video again, he said quietly. My heart skipped. You kept it? I asked. I needed to, he replied, to understand what I sounded like. That shook me. I wasn't raised to apologize, he said. I was raised to be right. I stayed silent. That cost me my daughter.
His voice cracked. Just slightly, but enough. I blamed you, he continued, for leaving, for choosing differently. He looked at me. But the truth is, I didn't know how to love you without controlling you. There it was. Not perfect, but honest. I'm not inviting you in, I said gently. I know, he replied quickly. I'm not here for that. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. I sold the truck, got a smaller place lined up. I stiffened. This isn't about money, he added fast. I'm not asking. Good. I'm here to say something, and then I'll go. I crossed my arms, bracing myself. I'm sorry, he said. 2 words. Heavy. I don't expect forgiveness, he added. I just didn't want to disappear again. I swallowed hard. He turned to leave, then stopped. You don't have to reply, he said, but I hope one day you'll let me try. He stepped off the porch. The camera caught him pause at the bottom of the steps. He didn't look back. That mattered. I sat on the couch, staring at the door. This felt different. Not fixed, not healed, but real. And real is harder than rehearsed love. Some parents never learn. Some learn too late. And some learn slowly, painfully, one honest step at a time. I didn't know which one my father would be, but for the first time, I wasn't carrying the weight alone.
I had just fallen asleep when my phone rang. 2:17 a.m. Unknown number. My first instinct was to ignore it. Then it rang again. Something in my chest tightened. I answered. Hello? It was my mother. Her voice was shaking. Your father collapsed, she said. They think it's his heart. For a moment, the world went quiet. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to care without losing myself again. I'm at the hospital, she said quickly. They're running tests. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. I'll come, I said. The words surprised even me. The road was empty, streetlights blurred as tears filled my eyes. I wasn't driving toward forgiveness. I was driving toward reality. Love doesn't disappear just because boundaries exist. He looked smaller in the hospital bed. Machines beeped softly around him. My mother stood up when she saw me. She didn't hug me. She just nodded. Thank you. That was enough. He opened his eyes slowly, saw me. Tears formed instantly. I didn't think you'd come, he whispered. I'm here, I replied. That was all I could offer. The doctor said he was stable, not out of danger, but alive. We sat in silence, no past arguments, no rehearsed words, just 3 people sharing the truth of the moment. My mother whispered, Can you stay tonight? I felt that familiar pull, the one that used to drag me back into old roles. I took a breath. I can stay for a while, I said, but I'm not moving back. She nodded immediately. No pressure, she said. That mattered. Later, when my mother stepped out, my father looked at me. I'm proud of you, he whispered weakly. Not for what you built, but for who you became. Tears slipped down my face. I didn't wipe them away. When visiting hours ended, I stood up. I'll check in tomorrow, I said. He nodded. No demands, no guilt. Just trust. For the first time in years, I didn't feel torn. I felt steady. Boundaries hadn't made me cold. They had made me free. You can show up without surrendering yourself. You can care without erasing your past pain. And sometimes, healing begins in a hospital room at 2:17 a.m. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. For once, my chest didn't feel tight. It felt open. Cautious, but open. I checked my phone. A message from my mother. "He's asking for you." No guilt, no pressure, just information. I replied, "I'll come after work." At the hospital, my father looked better. Still pale, still tired, but alive. He smiled when he saw me, a real smile. "I didn't think you'd come back," he said. "I said I would," I replied. And I meant it. Later, I asked my mother to walk with me to the cafeteria. She looked nervous. We sat across from each other, plastic cups of coffee between us. "I need to say something," I said. She nodded quickly. "I spent years trying to earn your love," I said, "by being good, quiet, agreeable." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I know," I replied gently. "That's the problem." "When you stopped talking to me," I continued, "I learned how to live without parents." She covered her mouth. "That changes a person." She nodded slowly. "I don't want to lose you again," she said. I leaned forward. "Then don't try to own me," I said. "Just know me." "I can't fix the past," she said, "but I can listen now." I studied her face. This wasn't performance. This was fear and effort. "That's all I'm asking," I said. My father watched us quietly. "You don't have to stay," he said when I entered, "but I'm glad you're here." That sentence mattered. No obligation, just choice. He reached into the bedside drawer and pulled out something small, my childhood art contest ribbon. "I kept it," he said. "I just didn't know how to show it." My throat closed. Some wounds aren't about what was missing. They're about what was hidden. When I left that evening, my mother hugged me lightly, not tightly, not desperately, just enough. "Drive safe," she said. I nodded. Rebuilding trust doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts with respect, with listening, with letting someone leave without fear. And for the first time, I believed we might be able to try, not as before, but as something new. 6 months passed. Not dramatically, not magically, just quietly. We didn't become a perfect family overnight. There were no weekly dinners or forced holidays. There were texts, short ones at first. "How are you? Thinking of you." No need to reply. And sometimes, I replied. My father recovered slowly. He moved into a small apartment near a park. He learned to cook simple meals. He learned how to rest. My mother started therapy. She told me that without being asked, not for praise, just honesty. "I don't want to repeat the same mistakes," she said. That mattered more than any apology. I didn't move back. I didn't give them money. I didn't erase the past, but I let them exist in my present, on my terms. And I learned something important. Forgiveness isn't a gift you give others. It's a boundary you give yourself. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from my father. "If you're free Sunday, I'd like to cook for you. If not, that's okay." No guilt, no pressure. I stared at the message, then typed, "Sunday works." Sunday arrived warm and quiet. As I pulled into my driveway afterward, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I opened the Ring app. My parents stood on my porch. Together. My chest tightened. Then I turned up the sound. My mother adjusted her bag. "Don't say anything to my father," softly. "Just wait." They stood there silently. No rehearsing, no smiling for effect. Just waiting. I opened the door. They looked at me, and said nothing. I stepped aside. "You can come in," I said. They followed, quietly, respectfully. No speeches, no tears, just presence. My father handed me a small container. "I made soup," he said. "Your favorite." I smiled, not because of the soup, but because he remembered. After they left, I checked the ring footage. They walked down the steps. My mother turned to my father and whispered, "We didn't ruin this." He nodded. "No," he said, "she let us try." I paused the video and smiled through tears. The camera didn't catch a performance this time. It caught growth. It caught restraint. It caught two people finally understanding that love doesn't need lines. It needs honesty. Some parents never change. Some change only when it's too late. And some change just enough, if you protect yourself while giving them the chance. The Ring camera caught everything. The lies, the rehearsals, the awakening. But the most important thing it captured? The moment I stopped begging for love and started choosing peace.